The Rentvestor, who is the next home buyer, remains in the property that they already live in. That may be the 2-bedroom apartment. They're happy to stay in there longer, knowing that they still have a bit more growth in that property. But they are planning for the future, buying a property that they eventually want to move into and live in. This is a borrower typically that is comfortable with higher levels of debt. So they got the debt on their home today. They're happy to make a big investment into the future and carry the debt along the way. An example that I have, a plumber called Tim bought a property worth $2.3 million in the Ryde Council. Timothy is a small business owner, so he didn't pay himself a big salary, but he did have profits in the business that he could use to boost his serviceability. And then I believe his wife was a brand manager at a big US company. He had $600,000, even $650,000 to be able to invest into the next home. Why the Rentvestor cannot buy like the Rainmaker is there's some sort of constraint. This is their property portfolio at the time of buying. This looks like they own a lot of property, but actually why they had to be Rentvestors is because this property was not an investment property for them. They were borrowing on behalf of their mother-in-law. For different families, that is a thing. And $725,000 of their borrowing capacity was being taken up by this property. So you see low debt, high equity. Actually, their true balance sheet when you deducted that was this. So from 60%, we're going to 71% LVR. So that was constraint number one. Constraint number two is that it was still early days in the pregnancy, but we wanted to utilize 2 income streams to get the most borrowing capacity. However, even though there was an intent to go back to work full-time, that's not always a certainty. When you go from a full-time income to a part-time income, your borrowing capacity is going to drop. And so they wanted to be able to access their maximum borrowing capacity today. If things were to change, they did have equity buffers, not only in the properties that they owned, but other investments that they had made over time as well, such as shares.